If you ask me, this feels like a waste of time, Vegeta then groaned slightly, blocking the upcoming attack from Goku. He had to be on alert, as Turles was chiming in with the spinning punch.
Oh, come on, Vegeta. If the kids are having their fun, we can as well.
Goku was looking at the prince expectantly. Yes, and attract all the unwanted attention if we go all out. We have regular training sessions, Kakarot. If you two want the prize money, then go for it. I don't really need it. I think you're forgetting who my wife is. The prince was still a little bit grumpy about the situation. But that's the point. Trying to win while keeping a low profile. Limit ourselves to some more basic moves. I didn't take you as someone who throws away a challenge. When was the last time you had fun, huh? Turles was helping Kakarot out to maybe spin the narrative toward their own advantage. I'm also not in the most dire need of money. Tights' last book, it was a hit. And I managed to do some good deals at the workshop, but come on. Where's your Saiyan spirit, Prince? Vegeta then glared at them both. They rarely agreed upon something, and this time they were really insistent. It was rather unsettling, especially with how similar they were to one another deep down. Laying in between the parental meetings and grocery lists, that's where it is. But maybe you have a point. Maybe I've let my Saiyan side grow a little lazy. But I don't see any growth from pretending to be weaker. Vegeta then sighed.
It is about smarts, strategizing, choosing the most basic techniques.
Goku smiled. I am smarter than the two of you put together. You do know that, right? The prince said, which resulted in a snort from the other two, as in they completely didn't believe it. Yeah, right. Turles punched him in the shoulder.
Obviously, yeah, sure.
Goku couldn't stop himself from giggling. What's so funny? A vein became visible on Vegeta's massive forehead.
Oh, nothing.
Kakarot then winked at the pirate, still laughing. Yeah, don't worry about it. Where were we anyway? Turles sent some key attacks at the frustrated prince, who went on to deflect them relatively easily. You two think you're so clever. I'll show you. I'm going to beat both of you in that stupid Earth competition. Just you wait. The annoyance was just oozing from the prince at this moment. He took their bait, and worst of all, he knew that he had. Still, deep inside, he was glad to have been doing something different. Of course, he didn't want to simply agree. Giving those two clowns any credit for talking him into this would make them too smug, more smug than they were now, and he would hate that. He initially wanted to just allow Trunks to go against Goten and Regins in the junior division. After all, a bit of official competition could be healthy for the boys. From what he knew, it was basically how Kakarot started his own route toward great power, and they all knew how that worked out for him, so despite being relatively weak, yeah, Vegeta maybe could use some this for his own progeny. Not so much for himself, because who is he kidding? Of course he could take on the challenge, but maybe Gohan and Piccolo could also stand to pick up some of the slack. They were training, yes, but the boy was wasting far too much time with his studies, at least in Vegeta's mind, for someone with his potential, and the Namekian had fallen out of sorts quite a bit, which was a shame, because they'd never actually fought up until now. Well, maybe there might be some other green people for him to fuse with, but still, Vegeta wasn't angry, only weirdly apathetic. And apathy was a new emotion for him, a weird one. The prince wasn't good with this, and even though Bulma suggested some sort of therapy to talk out the problem, he laughed her off about that. Even if there were some good specialists in that field on Earth, how could they relate to him and his problems? He was built different. He was going to deal with all this stuff himself. After all, he had to keep up with Kakarot and Turles, and even though he was often annoyed by them, he was begrudgingly grateful for having them around to keep him on his toes. Without those two around, well, a life of deceitful comfort of Earth would have actually been heading his way, and that would have been much less bearable for him, the Saiyan Prince.
That was easy,
Goku smirked after he and Turles had left the capsule corp gravity chamber after the training.
I thought it would have taken longer to make him come around.
Turles shook his head. Nah, I'm not surprised in the slightest. I think he's taking the acclimation to Earth's family life even harder than I did. But he's also putting in a lot of effort, so I'll give him that.
I don't know what's so hard. Family life's cool. I got Chi-Chi making me delicious dinners, two awesome sons to have fun with. Yeah, from time to time I have to help with the farm and stuff, but overall, I don't understand what's so hard about it.
Kakarot, you've never experienced the life of a true Saiyan. Maybe that's why you've outgrown most of us. Because you never had some of those stupid prejudices that actually have it as a crux, and the less helpful traditions that come with it.
Well, to be honest, I was on my own for quite a long time after Grandpa Gohan passed away, and even before that, it was just him and me, out in the woods, all lonesome. So, I was kinda late to the whole Earth thing too, kinda.
Goku shrugged and stopped to once again play out his last encounter with his adoptive grandfather in his head once more. It was a nice, comforting memory for him. It got him through some really troubling times. So you avoided the worst of both worlds, it seems. I'm kinda jealous. Turles nodded.
I heard that you and Regins are doing a lot better than lately. Apparently, some of those painty stuff things around the city, I could never really get into that, but from what I heard, Goten and Trunks are mighty impressed.
Turles shrugged at that news. You know, I decided I might as well get into the stuff my son's liking, to connect with him more. They're their own people, not just copies of us. We need to respect their independence more. The former pirate looked at the capsule corp building as they were walking away.
Yeah, I remember during the Cell games, but Gohan, you know, he likes all that complicated stuff. I tried to read one of the books that he was studying from, and I really didn't understand all of it, or any of it. Some of the subjects are just, well, they talk on and on and on, if they can get to the point, that is.
Goku gestured all over his head.
Like, I can get math, somewhat. You can actually use math in fighting, so that's some basic understanding, if that's right.
Turles then stopped for a moment. Wait, you tell me that you get math? You? The pirate blinked twice.
Well, I'm not saying understanding or getting, it's kind of weird with all the letters, but, you know, sometimes I need to just simply count the angle for a beam attack. I have to quickly add or multiply in my head, you know? Basic stuff.
Wait, you're telling me that you're calculating all that stuff on the fly? The pirate was dumbfounded by this news.
Yeah, you don't?
Goku tilted his head, as if this was the simplest thing in the world. I always thought you had some sort of insane instinct going on, not you pulling out math.
Oh, I mean that too, but to do so, I gotta count pretty fast.
Goku grinned. You're kidding me. You're kidding me. This has gotta be a joke. You're trying to pull one on me. Admit it, Kakarot. Turles was getting paler and more surprised by the second.
No, seriously. Math's not that bad. Try me.
Alright. What is 715 times 65? Said the pirate, throwing out the most random numbers he could think of. After merely a second, Goku was ready to answer.
46,475. Easy. Sometimes I need to keep up with the number of breaths I've had to make in a fight.
You never cease to amaze me, Kakarot. Sometimes in a scary way. Turles shook his head.
If it makes you feel any better, I usually have problems with those textbook questions about the trains or fruits or whatever. They kind of take away my focus for obvious reasons.
Goku patted the pirate on the shoulder. Still, his friend, as always, had one very troubling thought in mind. How can someone be so smart and so stupid at the same time? It just didn't make sense to him. Or maybe he was the stupid one for not thinking this was possible. And so the preparations for the tournament began to come in earnest. The boys were eager to train with their fathers, although since Gohan was starting in the regular tournament and not in the junior division this time around, he was sparring with Piccolo and his new friend, a girl named Videl. Apparently, after the whole banner fiasco, she had managed to figure out his not-so-secret identity of the Great Saiyan Man. But still, from time to time the three of them would give slightly different lessons to those that Goku, Vegeta and Turles would give them. For that, they would be teaching Videl how to fly.
So, wait, to get this correctly, you're all aliens, right?
She looked at the Green Man and 4 Saiyan hybrids. Well, not quite. Piccolo's full-blooded Namekian, but was born here on Earth. We're all half-blooded Saiyans, but we were raised as Earthlings, said Gohan, trying to explain everything to her.
Wow, we got so many aliens living amongst us. How many other species are there? No idea. You're asking the wrong crowd, sis.
Trunks shrugged.
We haven't been to space, so, these two, I guess.
You were? Videl looked at Gohan and Piccolo.
Is that true? You've been in space?
Oh yeah, when I was like, 6, we were fighting an evil space dictator on Piccolo's homeworld. That was kind of fun when looking back on it.
6? You were fighting some crazy evildoer when you were 6?
5.5, actually, but who's counting? I was about 9 back then, said Piccolo, without really any thought or concern.
Wait, but you said earlier that he was your mentor since you were 3.
Videl looked confused. We grow up differently, don't worry about it. They grow up a little bit longer than you, but they're mentally more independent much earlier. Piccolo came to the rescue to try and explain the entire situation.
I must say, that's a lot to take in for just one day. Oh, wait for the part where your dad stole credit for Gohan's victory.
The son of Turles chimed in.
Regins!
Gohan scolded the boy, as if he didn't want Videl to know.
What? It's true, though.
The kid looked apologetic.
I've nothing against you, Miss Videl. You seem fine.
She turned his head to both of them.
You know, somehow, I always knew. The Golden Warrior. That was you.
Yeah, he blushed.
It's not a big deal anymore. I mean, we can all do it.
Trunks waved his hand dismissively, breaking the mood.
Wait, you can do the whole thing with the golden hair? All of you?
Videl looked around, her stunned expression returning. All the Saiyans, yeah, but technically, these 3 brats know only the weaker version. And as to prove their point, Regins, Trunks, and Goten showed off Super Saiyan to Videl. The Namekian sighed loudly, as if he knew that was exactly what they were going to do. Postulate. Well, that won't raise any questions and weird ones from your parents. Goten, your mother is mad at me already for your transformation. Somehow she blames my influence. Piccolo crossed his arms.
Why so? It happened when I trained with her. You got nothing to do with it, Mr. Piccolo.
The younger son of Goku was visibly confused.
But if my dad was doing all of that, why didn't you say something? He's not a bad man, I swear, but I know that he's not the most truthful man out there.
The daughter of Hercule looked at Gohan in an apologetic manner.
Oh, don't worry. It's actually a pretty good smokescreen for me and my family and friends. This allows us to keep a low profile, Videl. Not having to deal with celebrity or attention, being able to have a normal life. I actually prefer it, so your father really did us a kindness.
She then finally smiled.
Well, we're a lucky planet to have all of you then.
The boys then decided to show her some more advanced flying techniques, with Piccolo and Gohan continuing their training. They were toying around with the decreasing of the charging time of the special beam cannon to make it practically instant. That's kinda its thing, right? Long charge time? Piccolo raised an eyebrow.
Yeah, but Dad said we're gonna keep things relatively on the down low. Not to overdo the energy attacks. So, I was thinking about a faster and weaker version.
You know, I rarely give your father credit for his ideas, but that's a good one. It almost makes me nostalgic for simpler times.
Last one, you two were in a tournament. You squared against each other in the final, right?
Gohan decided to push a little bit to find out a little more of that time. Yeah, and I'm not going to use my real name. Bad connotation. I'm going to go with, Ma Jr.
A simple one. Yeah, I can imagine they probably still remember that time.
Gohan hesitated. You don't need to worry about anything, or mentioning Demon King Piccolo to me, Gohan. I'm over it. I know what I was, what my father was, and what I'm not. The Namekian smirked.
Must be nice, Gohan sighed.
You know, if you want to figure things out for yourself, what would be great is if you invited Videl somewhere without the whole entourage around.
What? No, but Del and I, we're just friends, Mr. Piccolo, honest.
Sure you are, but, you know, maybe you could share other interests than fighting, and then you won't be needing us to tag along with you and try and make yourself all look cool. I could find something to do for those 3 scoundrels. Let you 2 lovebirds handle all the things. I can handle it.
Piccolo was almost playful, whilst Gohan's face was beet red. I have no idea what you're talking about, Mr. Piccolo. Let's focus on the training. Yeah.
Careful, Gohan. Your Goku's showing. This caused even the boy to laugh. He couldn't be mad at Piccolo forever.
And finally, the day of the tournament had arrived. For the first time in their common history, there would be 2 competitions, and the atmosphere seemed rather cheerful and friendly. Even Vegeta was seen throwing some jokes around. Dry, sarcastic ones, sure, but still jokes. Everyone was in good spirits, so it was even weirder for them when they saw a mysterious duo of a purple-skinned and pink-skinned individual. For some really weird reason, whenever Piccolo was looking at the shorter of the 2, he felt some sort of anxiety. That was a bad sign. Something was about to happen. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.